Dr. John Ojalaton. Today we'll be talking about fractions. What are fractions? Fractions are a part of a whole. A whole. We have a whole number 1, we have 2, we have 3. Now a part of 1 could be half, could be 1/4, could be 2/3. In that way, how do we do it? The whole, we put it on top, and then the one that is a fraction, we put it below. So a fraction is a part of a whole, and it is represented by a numerator. Numerator is usually written at the top. Numerator. And then what is written below is called denominators or denominator. There are different types of fraction. We have different types of fractions. A fraction could be proper, 2 could be improper, or could be mixed. Now, what's a proper fraction? Proper fraction is a fraction that the numerator is smaller numerator is lower than the denominator, larger denominator, smaller numerator, and then a larger denominator. What do we mean? Smaller, 2, and then we put something, a figure higher than 2, 3. Smaller, 4. Something higher than 4, 5. So a proper fraction is a fraction that you have the numerator is smaller than the denominator. Then improper fraction. What's an improper fraction? Improper fraction, from the word improper, is not proper. The one above, which is the numerator, is larger. You have a larger numerator and you have a smaller denominator. Figure like, let's say 3. 3 is larger than what? 2. If we say 4, 4 is larger than what? 3. So the denominator is larger while the numerator is larger while the denominator is smaller. Then the third kind of fraction is mixed fraction. When we say mixed, what does it mean? It means we are combining a whole number with a fraction. Mixed fraction. When they say mixed, it means we have a whole number, an integer, combined with fraction. Normally, an integer combined with another proper fraction. An integer combined with a proper fraction. So in summary, something proper, a proper fraction, we have the numerator, what is above, is lower than what is below. Improper, the smaller is carrying the weight of the bigger. The numerator is larger, the denominator is smaller. Mixed fraction, you have an integer, a whole number, accompanied with a fraction. Most times the fraction is usually proper fraction. Now we want to talk about how do we convert fractions. How do we convert an improper fraction? Conversion of improper fraction to mixed fraction. Improper fraction is when the numerator is bigger than the denominator. How do we convert it to a mixed fraction? So much so that we have a whole number, an integer, and a fraction. This is what we do. We look at 4/3. How many 3 can we find in 4? Just 1. 3 times 1, 3. Then we say 4 minus 3, 1. So in this, what do we have? This will be our whole number 1, and this will be our numerator 1 over this will now be our denominator. Let's look at another example. Another example is we are converting 7 over 5 in proper fraction. We'll say how many 5 can we see in 7? Just 1. 5 times 1 is 5. 7, taking away 5, we have 2. So what we have is, what is usually on top? The quotient is usually the whole number 1 over what remains, the remainder will be the numerator 2, while the divisor will be the denominator. What is usually the result, which is the quotient, is usually going to be the integer 1, while the remainder will be the numerator. And what is dividing, the divisor will be the denominator. That is how to convert from improper fraction to a mixed fraction. Then we are going to talk about how do we convert mixed fraction now to improper fraction. Mixed fraction. Mixed fraction is when you have a whole number and you have another proper fraction. How do we convert this? 3 whole and then a quarter. We do this. We'll say the denominator multiplied by the quotient or the integer plus the numerator. The denominator multiplied by the quotient. Then we add the numerator. What do we do? Denominator 3 times 4 are 4 times 3. Then we add our 1. That is what? 12 plus 1. That's what? 13. Then we put our 4 under the denominator. Denominator multiplied by the quotient. Denominator multiplied by the quotient. Then we add the numerator and we put it under the denominator. That's how to convert. We can also use this formula and say 5. We can use this number and say 5 2 over 3. 5 whole number, then 2/3. What is the denominator here? 3 multiplied by 5 plus the numerator 2 and then over the denominator 3. What do we have? 3 times 5, 15 plus 2, 17 over 3. We can just convert it also. How many 3 can we find in 17? That's 5. 3 times 5, 15. When we take away 15 from 17, it will give us 2. So what do we have? 5 whole number, 2 over 3. This is how to convert from improper fraction to mixed fraction and from mixed fraction to improper fraction. That is. So we want to talk about addition. Addition of fractions. Now I've told you we have 3 types of fractions. So we can start with addition of proper fraction. We earlier said that proper fractions is a situation where the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So the numerator is smaller than the denominator. The numerator is smaller than the denominator. Now there are different types of addition or fraction. Sometimes you have irregular denominators. Irregular denominators in which what you are adding, the fractions you are adding, the denominators are homogeneous or not homogeneous. This is an example of homogeneous fraction in the sense that homogeneous denominator, the denominators are the same. This is very simple. Just put a line across. This is 5, the denominators are 5. It's very easy to do. Just add up what you have on the numerators, and this is what you have. When you have homogeneous denominators, you don't need to do any other thing. Just bring one of the denominators out and add the numerators. Just add the numerators. 4/7 plus 2/7. That will be 4 plus 2/7. That's 6/7. So this is very easy when your denominator is the same, homogeneous denominator. Just add up the numerators and that is all what you have. Now, but when you want to add fractions that the denominators are not homogeneous, they are not the same, something like this, how do? You will look for the lowest common multiple of this. What figure will be a multiple of 7 and at the same time be a multiple of 8? The easiest for us to remember is 56. 7 times 8 is 56. So we are going to say, how many 7? How many of these 7 do we have in 56? That's 8. Then we multiply it by the 6. Then we add. How many of these 8 can we find in 56? 7. Then we multiply it by the 5 that we have. 8 times 6, 48. 7 times 5, 35. And then over 56. What will this give us? 48 plus 35. This 13 plus 1, that's 8. 83 over 56. So when we are adding proper fractions that the denominators are not the same, we look for a multiple in which the denominator of the first fraction and the denominator of the second fraction we are adding can have a whole number. And another example is this. We want to add 3/4, a quarter, plus a third. The multiple that is easy for us to find here will be what? 12. How many 4 can you find in 12? 3. Then you say that 3 multiplied by this 3. You put this addition. How many 3 can you find in 12? 4. Then you multiply by this one. 3 times 3, 9. 4 times 1, 4. Then over 12. 9 plus 4, 13. Over 12. Please, can you close? I want to question this children. So, we've talked about two different types of addition of proper fraction. The one that we have homogeneous denominators and the one that we have denominator that is not homogeneous. Let's look at another example of non-homogeneous addition. We can pick a number 5/6 plus, let's say, 2/3. Now, this fraction is a little different. The addition is a little different from this and this. Why? Because there's something about the denominators of these two proper fractions. And what is it? the 6 that is the denominator here is a multiple of 3. And we said when we are looking for a common multiple, we have to look for a common multiple. Here, 6 can be a multiple here, and 6 can also be a multiple. So we are going to say our multiple, lowest common multiple will be 6. How many 6 is in 6? 1. Then we multiply by the 5. Then we put this addition. How many 3 can we find in 6? 2. Then we multiply by the 2. Then what do we have? 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 2 is 4 over 9 over 6. So what do we have? 9 over 6. We can also change this to one whole number. How many 6 is in 9? 1. Remainder 3 over 6. It can also give us 1 over 2. They are the same. So we've done addition of proper fraction. Now let's do addition of we've done addition of proper fraction, so we want to look at addition of improper fraction. We have earlier said that improper fractions are fractions where you have the numerator is larger, bigger than the denominator. We have the numerator is bigger than the denominator. The numerator is bigger than the denominator. Still on homogeneous denominators, what we will just do, we'll just pick one of the denominators and then we add the numerators together. What do we have? 9 over 3. 9 over 3 is same as 3 whole number. We also, let's look at something else. 10 over 4. Homogeneous denominator. So we pick one of the denominators and we just add up the numerators together. 22 over 4. 22 over 4. How do we convert this to mixed fraction? How many of 4 can we see in 22? 5. That's 5 times 4, 20. How many will remain? 20 take away 22 take away 20. That will be 2 over this. And it's still the same thing as 1 over 2. So any of these answers are correct. Now we want to look at addition of a proper fraction where the denominators are not homogeneous, they are not the same. For instance, we have 5 over 3 plus 6 over 4. So we look for a common multiple. A common multiple in this is 12. 3 times 4 will give us 12. So how many 3 can we find in 12? 4. Then we say 4 multiplied by 5. Plus, how many 4 do we find in 12? 3. Then we multiply it by this 6. What do we have? 4 times 5 is 20 plus 18 over 12. What does that give us? 38 over 12. We can further break this down to being 3 whole number. 3 times 12, 36. Then 36 take away, if we take away 36 from 38, we have 2 over 12. Then this can also still give us 1 over 6. So any of these numbers are the same. Let's look at another addition of improper fraction. Addition of improper fraction. Let's look at 2 digits. 2 digits. Look at something like this. If you have something like this, now what common multiples do we have that 12, it will be a multiple to 12 and a multiple to 10. The closest one that come is 60. 12 times 5 will give us 60. 6 times 10 will give us 60. So how many 12 is in 60? 5. Then we say times 10. Plus, how many 10 is in 60? 6 times 11. So what do we have? 5 times 10, 50, plus 66 over 60. What does this give us? 116 over 60. So how do we simplify this further into a mixed fraction? How many 6 can we find here? 1. That's 60. So what will remain? 56 over 60. We can leave the answer like this. We can go further and we can say one whole number. What common number will be? Give us 56 over 60. We can also go ahead and make it go into lower fractions. One whole number. What's the common factor that we can find in 56 and can also divide 60 without any remainder? Now we look at let's look at 4. How many 4 is in 60? That will be 15. How many 4 is in 56? That will be 4 in 5 is 1, remainder 1 in 16, 4 in 16, 4. So we can leave our answer this way, or this way. Thank you very much. In our next video, in our next class, we'll be looking at equivalent fraction. Equivalent fraction in our next video. Thank you for your time. I want to believe that you had value for time spent here. Meet you in the next class.